Marcus Thornton had spent 15 years watching the sunrise alone. His ranch stretched across 300 acres of Montana wilderness, but the vastness only amplified his solitude. At 42, he'd long accepted that some men were meant to walk through life without companionship. His wife Sarah had died in childbirth years ago, taking their daughter with her, and since that day, Marcus had built walls around his heart that nothing could penetrate. The livestock auction in town was his monthly ritual, a necessary trip he made without enthusiasm. But on this particular October morning, something caught his eye that had nothing to do with cattle. In a shadowy corner of the auction house, a woman stood beside a girl who couldn't have been more than 19. The older woman was speaking to men, gesturing toward the trembling girl whose swollen belly was impossible to miss. Marcus felt his stomach turn as he understood what he was witnessing. $500, the mother was saying coldly. She's young, healthy, and the baby's due in 2 months. Someone take her off my hands. The girl's face was streaked with tears, her eyes vacant with despair. Marcus found himself walking toward them before his mind could catch up with his feet. I'll give you 1,000, he heard himself say. But only if she comes willingly. The mother's eyes lit with greed as she snatched the bills Marcus produced. The girl looked at him with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. My name is Emma, she whispered as they walked to his truck. Thank you. The drive back to the ranch was silent except for Emma's quiet sobs. Marcus didn't know what he'd just done or why. He only knew that leaving her there wasn't an option his conscience could bear. When they arrived, he showed her to the guest room, filled the pantry with food, and made it clear she owed him nothing. You're safe here, he said simply. Stay as long as you need. Weeks passed and something unexpected began to happen. Emma's laughter, rare at first, started filling the empty spaces of the house. She sang while cooking, asked Marcus about the horses, and slowly transformed the ranch from a lonely outpost into something resembling a home. Marcus found himself smiling again. Remembering what it felt like to care for someone, one December evening, Emma went into labor. The roads were buried under 3 feet of snow, making the hospital unreachable. Marcus delivered the baby himself, his hands steady despite his racing heart, guided by instinct and prayer. When the infant's cry pierced the air, something broke open in Marcus's chest. 15 years of grief released in a single moment. It's a girl, he whispered. Placing the tiny, perfect baby in Emma's arms, Emma looked up at him with tears streaming down her face. I want to name her Sarah, she said softly. After someone I'm guessing you loved very much. I've seen you looking at her photograph. Marcus couldn't speak. He simply nodded, overwhelmed by the beauty of this moment, the second chance he'd never expected. Over the following months, they became a family not by blood but by choice. Emma proved to be remarkably strong, transforming from a frightened girl into a confident woman. She started helping with the ranch, her daughter strapped to her chest, bringing life and purpose to every corner of the property. One spring morning, as Marcus watched Emma teaching little Sarah to pet a horse, he realized the miracle he'd waited for hadn't been what he'd imagined. He'd thought his miracle died with his wife. But here it was different, unexpected, and more beautiful than anything he could have planned. Sometimes salvation comes not in getting what we lost back, but in finding the courage to love again when we've forgotten how. Marcus had bought Emma's freedom that day, but in truth, she'd purchased his.